Hey guys, what's going on in the All Rights Matter show? Look at an article here about this guy, Sheriff Clarke, Sheriff David Clarke. David is a piece of work. I've been watching this guy since, I never knew who he was until Trump ran for office. So he's a huge proponent of the law enforcement community as a sheriff. He stands up for all the law enforcement officers. He speaks on their behalf. A lot of them overwhelmingly support everything that he has to say. I'm here to show you why it's dangerous that anyone should be supporting this man who is clearly becoming unhinged. And this is Sheriff Clarke's wife, Julie. Let's see here. That's Julie Clarke right there. She's a realtor in the Milwaukee area, from what I understand. And it's quite unfortunate that his actions are probably eventually going to lead to affecting her as well. When you have a public professional position and you have a partner that is, publicly just pretty much more and more each day becoming hated by the people that he serves, then that will have a backlash on the whole family. So unfortunately for her, this is who she chose to be with. So at the end of the day, let's go check out who Sheriff Clarke is and what's going on with Sheriff Clarke right now. Now, if you just go, of course, to Google and type Sheriff Clarke, you're going to get a ton of information about him. Tells you who he is. David Alexander Clarke Jr. was the 64th Sheriff of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. In 2002, Clarke was appointed to a vacancy by Gillum and later elected that same year to his first 4-year term. All right, so since then, I believe he's been elected 3 other times. So I believe a total of 4 times, if I'm not mistaken, 2002, 6, 10, 14, 4 times. So he's coming up again for re-election in 2018. I don't see him winning. And this is why. We have lawmakers in Wisconsin now that are actually calling for Sheriff David Clarke to be booted out of office immediately. Now, will this happen? Probably not. But it's setting the precedent for him to lose next year. It's showing that these people that the representatives in the state, and also, I'm talking about the political representatives in the state, and also people that, are within Sheriff Clarke's territory. Those people are tired of him. They're tired of his antics. They're tired of the inflammatory comments that he makes. So instead of destabilizing the situation and some of the tense situations that are going on within his community, he is instead amplifying those situations and creating, a lot of chaos, a lot of tension amongst people there on the ground. And Sheriff Clarke sums it all up to be fake news or, attacks coming from liberals. I mean, this man is just, he's out of control. There's no way to. As a matter of fact, look at one of the top articles in Google. Nutbag. Sheriff David Clarke went to the women's riot, and all he got was these blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what the rest of it is. I'm not going to click on it right now. But people know that this man is a nutbag. Editorial, David Clarke, go. Okay? So he's running around, pretty much as a rogue leader. And there's a lot of people that are saying, wait a second, how is he getting away with all of this stuff? Ebony did a great article on him. I'll leave a link for that below. David Clarke, a black cop with a dangerous mentality. Okay? I mean, he advocates for tougher, harsher sentences. He doesn't believe rehabilitation should be a part of the criminal justice system. So, it's crazy. He's the type of person that would advocate for FEMA camps. I'm telling you that right now, guys. He would advocate for FEMA camps. Okay? So anybody that thinks that the criminal justice system shouldn't work on, reforming some of these criminals and keeping them from committing more crime, anyone that thinks along those lines, that think that that's not the responsibility of that system, they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy and just completely devoid of any responsibility whatsoever. So he's not up for the task to do that because he obviously can't understand what it entails as far as recidivism is concerned, as far as keeping people out of the prison, not trying to staff them more, or not staff them more, but fill them more with prisoners, but to keep them from coming back to the. So, Governor Clarke doesn't understand that. Now, a funny thing is, and, a few minutes ago I may have used a remark that he's becoming unhinged. And I'm not saying this lightly. I really mean what I said. He's been paying attention to the matters within his state. I mean, this guy has had 4 people die within his prisons, one of them being a baby. A baby shortly after birth. There was no medical attention was given, so the baby died in a prison cell. Have any answers, explanations, punishments, disciplinary actions been done regarding that underneath Sheriff Clarke's command? Absolutely not. The family has been ignored. All the families in the deaths have been ignored. And there's no accountability going on. Okay? So this is a man who's gotten comfortable with office position, and now he feels like he doesn't even have to answer to the people. That's a problem. So he goes on a Twitter rant with Mark Lamont Hill, and they went back and forth, calling each other names. And, it's really sad that David Clarke, an elected official, would engage with the media personality in calling racial slurs. I believe, in the black community, when you get called a jigaboo, it's pretty, man, it's, dancing to the sound of the white man's flute, for a lack of better words. So, that's what we're looking at when we look at, this guy, Sheriff Clarke. He doesn't mind throwing out racial slurs at people. But the funny thing is this, even though Sheriff Clarke throws out racial slurs to people, I believe there was a segment, Fox 6, they made a meme or aired something and they used some terminology he didn't like. This man literally goes on the Milwaukee County Sheriff's page and proceeds to denounce the radio station, calling out names, leaving phone numbers, pretty much demanding an apology, demanding a boycott. It's sad. It's really sad. The taxpayer dollars in Milwaukee are going to this, so, and I mean, this is the same guy. Let's see if we can scroll down a little bit here, see if we can get some more. Let me see if I can find. This is the same guy. I mean, he just did the other day. This is just the other day, guys. This is all back to back, and I mean, it's creating a pattern for him, and I believe, it's going to catch up. It's really going to catch up to him. He's for re-election in 2018, and stuff like this is really going to catch up to him. Okay. So, here's the story. He had a run-in here, in an airport, and the airport the guy asked him, "Hey, are you Sheriff David Clarke?" He said, "Yes." The guy shook his head, went about his business. Sheriff Clarke seen him shake his head, pretty much said, "What's it to you?" And, he kind of just looked at him, went about his business, the guy, and went on. So they get to their stop or whatever, and at the airport, and Sheriff Clarke had called up the sheriff's office, also with, I believe, a couple of cases, to pretty much interrogate and question this man because he approached the sheriff. Okay? This is how crazy David Clarke is. He's going to call in resources to pretty much intimidate and harass this man. And then they got mad about it. So let's go before then. Let me see here. Here you go. Sheriff Clarke comment on complaint sent to the media. Next time he or anyone else pulls this stunt on a plane, they may get knocked out. The sheriff said he does not have to wait for someone to assault him. He reserves the reasonable right to preempt a possible assault. So that's what he says about this man. After the man just, was shaking his head at him the man's reason for shaking his head at Sheriff Clarke was based on the fact that Sheriff Clarke was wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey, and he pretty much, I guess the guy said something about him not repping his own team or whatever it was, but it was something that had to deal with sports. Okay, I mean, it's a Dallas Cowboys game, so it had to deal with sports. It didn't have anything to do with his policies, politics, anything like that. His record, Sheriff Clarke's record, nothing like that. So it's just based on the fact that the man shook his head at him. Okay, so now he's going to post a comment after that, after receiving the backlash of that story, says he reserves the reasonable right to preempt a possible assault, and that he would knock someone out. First of all, if we're going to be honest with you, this sheriff, he's not getting into any fist fights. I mean, he will literally get the brakes beat off of him, probably by, just about anybody. Just to be honest with you, this man is not fighting anybody. Not at all. Don't sit there, and I don't want anybody to get fearful and think, oh my God, he's really a tyrannical kind of guy. He's going to attack me and stuff like this. Do not worry about this soft man. Do not worry about him at all. But it's just the fact of what he's doing and what he's saying. This is not becoming of a sheriff. This is not what is this? This is garbage. So he doubles down on that attack and takes it even further. I know, guys. And you can read. Listen to this. Snowflake Clarke first illegally threatened to knock out, then threatened to murder a citizen for the terrible crime of shaking his head. Threatening violence is illegal, and Clarke is a criminal. When Clarke threatens to murder citizens, they have a right to use lethal force to defend the stand your ground citizens. Look, I didn't say it. This guy said it. But since he said it, I'm going to focus in on it. And then I'm going to name the video after this. So let's ask that question. Is this guy actually right? And let's go over, before we go to that, let's read the threat. Let's get to the threat. We're going to show you how unhinged this man is becoming. This is on the Milwaukee County Sheriff's page. So this is what he does. He goes to the guy's profile. He takes a picture of the guy's the guy's profile, or a screenshot of a video or something. But he makes a meme of it, and he says, "Cheer up, Snowflake. If Sheriff Clarke were to really harass you, you wouldn't be around to whine about it." Read it again. I didn't put it here. They put this here. Sheriff Clarke put this here. "Cheer up, Snowflake. If Sheriff Clarke were really to harass you, you wouldn't be around to whine about it." Two issues. First, Snowflake. He's only referring to this white man as a snowflake, but he's white. He's not calling a black man a snowflake. Not at all. So, he speaks in these slurs. First he calls the CNN guy a jigaboo. Then he calls the white guy a snowflake. He's obviously a very racial person. And he's doing it in an open on the taxpayers' dollars. And now, let's go a step further. What the other commenter on this page was saying. If Sheriff Clarke were to really harass you, you wouldn't be around to whine about it. He's literally threatening murder. This is very reminiscent of the mafia type of stuff, where you just disappear. Nobody knows where you are anymore because you're somewhere buried in a forest in New Jersey. So this is the kind of activity that this man is delving into as a publicly elected official. I mean, this is very sad. It's very small of him. But this is what you expect when you have men of this caliber. You really can't expect a lot out of guys like this. And he's a very self-hating individual. You have to understand, Clarke is one of the black men that have grown up in an all-white neighborhood. He was only one of a couple people that went to an all-white Catholics. At the end of the day, he was probably called every N-word in the book and anything you could think of that was a negative racial slur. And he had to suck it up. Okay, so then he had to learn how to get along to get ahead. But he never reversed that route of thinking. He never said, you know what, I'm going to stop getting along. I'm going to be a proud black man. Stand up for mine. Stand up for my people as well. Because crime is not just happening because they're committing the crimes. Crimes are happening to African Americans in his community. Whether it's economic, whether it's in the rental community, it doesn't matter. There's crimes happening across the board, but all he focuses on is what's going to make those above him happy. And that's locking up the darkies that are selling the dope. Let's keep it real. Okay? He's not out locking up anybody that's committing a financial crime. He's not out trying to change the system so that jobs are implemented so people have something to do with their time, have something to do with their idle hands and idle minds. He's not doing any of that. His city is voted as one of the worst places in America for black people to live. Does that tell you anything? So when you see this black man in one of the worst places for black men to live, and he's leading the charge there, we know what kind of people have put him in power. We know what he doesn't mind doing to his own people. And, you know, at the end of the day, he obviously feels invincible because he can level threats against the public without any kind of repercussions. So I want to focus in on that right there. We'll just stop there for a second and focus in on that. Can the sheriff knock you out? Can he preempt that he's going to be attacked and then attack you and knock you out and then you not be able to do anything about it? Can he do that? Is that illegal to do? I'm going to tell you now, no, it's highly legal. It's called assault. If Sheriff Clarke ever assaults you, and mark my words when I say this, if Sheriff Clarke ever assaults you, shoot him. I'm just keeping it real with you. You have a reasonable right to protect yourself from any kind of assailant. Now, if somebody is endangering your personal space with an act of violence, you don't have to stand by and be pummeled by some rogue character, whether they wear a little star on their shirt or not. You have every right in your God-given body to pull out whatever you have and to shoot him as many times as you need to shoot him. Do not be assaulted by any law enforcement officer illegally. Now, if you're doing something wrong, and you're trying to get away, and they're trying to detain you, you're in the wrong. And you can't go shooting at cops. But if you have a cop like this one right here, who doesn't mind putting it out. This guy had no physical threat of violence. The white guy had no physical threat of violence against the sheriff. But what if he would have attacked this white guy? Would the white guy have been in the right if he would have pulled out a gun and shot the sheriff? I think he would have. And I would have sung the song, I Shot the Sheriff with him. So at the end of the day, you have to realize that you do have a right to stand up for yourself. You do not have to be, you don't have to be assaulted by police officers without defending yourself. You have every reasonable right to defend yourself just like they do. Just like they do. I'm not telling you to go out and shoot cops. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you have a right to defend yourself from any person. Your God-given right supersedes any man-made law. Your God-given right to defend yourself supersedes any man-made law. Will they lock you up? Possibly. Will you get a chance to prove your innocence? Yes. At the end of the day, the point of the story is don't be assaulted by people like this. Don't be afraid of people like this. You know, I'll tell you something. There's a very little known story, and there's a reason why this black man is dead, because they don't want you to know this story. A lot of you guys have heard of the guy named Tupac, the rapper named Tupac Shakur. Now, if you heard of Tupac, you know that he's dead, and he's been dead for, I think, about 20 years now. But what is one story you don't know about Tupac? Let me tell you. That one story is the night in Atlanta when he shot 2 police officers. Tupac shot 2 police officers, and what happened? He got away with it. He didn't get away with it because of some slick technicality. He got away with it because he was justified in doing so. There was a reasonable threat of violence, a reasonable threat of force, and a reasonable expectation to believe that his life or the life that Tupac was defending, that life may have been in danger. The 2 police officers were relieved of their duty because they were carrying guns from the evidence room, stolen guns from the evidence room of their police department, and they were in a whole nother district from their police department. So they have stolen guns, they're harassing a homeless person, Tupac stops his car, tells them to stop, they don't stop, they come over, I believe, break his window, he shoots both of them, and I believe he shot both of them in the ass, or in the ass and the leg or something like that. The media back then did a great job of covering this story up, and they didn't talk about it because Tupac was already super famous. This would have put him at God status. I'm just going to be honest with you. To be able to walk away from shooting 2 cops without a single day in jail. Okay? So that's what we're talking about here is you have the right to defend yourself. Bystanders seeing somebody getting hurt by police officers, you have the right to defend that person that is being hurt if it's done, if it's being illegally done. So no one, not even police officers, not sheriffs, no one has the right to trample on your God-given rights. They have the same rights as you. Any of these law enforcement people, their rights do not supersede your rights. So the same rights that they have to life, you have as well. The same rights they have to protection, you have as well. And when these people are not serving as your protection and they're serving as the people who would rather make you a victim, you have a right to not be victimized. So that's what I would say to Sheriff Clarke. You may feel like you have the reasonable right to preempt a possible assault. But if you assault somebody and they have not assaulted you, do not be surprised if you get shot in the face. And I'm not saying that as a threat, so I don't want any knocks at my door, but I'm being honest. Since you're on the right, Sheriff Clarke, you always talk about being politically correct and all this other kind of stuff that lefties do. I'm not a lefty, but I'm not going to sit here and speak politically correct with you either. So if you are watching this, Sheriff Clarke, and if you think that it's okay to preempt a possible assault on someone and to call them racial slurs as you hold public office, remember that if you call the wrong person a racial slur and then you assault them, that could be your last day. Okay? The times have changed. People are going to start standing up for themselves now because they can't account for people like Sheriff Clarke to stand up for them. But they can count on the fact that they know that Sheriff Clarke, 9 times out of 10, already has a negative view of them before he deals with them and will more than likely treat them unfairly. You got 2 strikes, Sheriff Clarke, in your corner already. And if you go around and start assaulting people, that'll be your 3rd strike. And I promise you, you assault the wrong person, you'll be out of here. So this is what this unhinged professional is doing. He's supposed to be a professional in his position and protecting the people and, helping to make sure that they're okay. That seems not to be the case, though. At the top of his page, he has pinned up something, a picture from a long time ago of him taking a picture with a little boy, and now that little boy became a soldier. But when you go down this page, you start to see the childish stuff. And he says stuff like, with every racism mark except to call him a nigger. And he always writes these posts like someone else is writing them, and we know that it's Sheriff Clarke writing them. So this man is just, he's really let his power and position go to his head. I did leave actually in a comment. I just couldn't help it. I couldn't help leaving a comment. You guys could go to the page. I'm not going to sit here and read this whole comment, but I'll show you. It's a lengthy comment. So you guys could check that out, though. Like I said, just go to the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office page, and my comment will be right there. You'll see it. But like I said, this man is affecting his community in a very negative way. He's somebody that it's time to get him out of there now. He's a self-hating man, and I think that it's gotten to a point in his career now where, if he doesn't get a position in the Trump cabinet, which he's not going to, it's coming to a point now where, there's nothing left for him. No one truly loves this man, except for, older suburbanites that are cool with tough on urbies and that will vote for that. They come out to vote. Those people love him. Those people love him because he makes them feel, quote unquote, safe from the urban people in the community. Okay? He sacrifices the urban community in support for suburbia. The numbers starting to grow against him. It's, dude, I don't care if you're black or not. You treat us like crap. So, the state representative that are calling for his removal, I say Godspeed to you. It's time to get him out of there. The inflammatory comments, the constant on Facebook all day, just, battle with people. And, it's just, this is not coming of a public official, of someone who's supposed to be utilizing their time to protect the community and make the community a better place. He's spending a lot of time out of the state. He's spending a lot of time, of course, with the Trump people. And he's not really caring about the position that he was elected to. But yet he has people in the community that are losing loved ones in his prisons, and he can't answer them and give them any answers. And as a matter of fact, I believe the medical examiner in that area came out and said, hey, gave some information about a couple of the deaths that happened in the prison. And what Sheriff Clarke do, and in his professional manner that he handles things, he threatens the guy. He verbally assaults the guy. So this is what we're talking about. He thinks that he controls and runs everything. The power is going to his head. And Sheriff David, when you start leveling threats like this, I'll only be reaching across the aisle to grab a Democrat by the throat. And he said audience in front of an. So it's that he really doesn't care. The man has been a Democrat. He's registered as a Democrat. And at the end of the day, this is how he talks now, because it's all about opportunism. Okay? It's all about, he sees an opportunity, he's changed up his politics, and he is benefiting glee from doing that. He has amassed an amazing following of people that see things the way that he sees things. Unfortunately, most of those people are what we would call suburbanites. They have no idea what the inner city struggles are. They have, a lot of them don't know, don't care. So he's amassed the following of them and the support of all of those people, and that's where your money starts to come in at. And then the people that, are behind them, of course, it goes on and on. So he did create a super PAC for Trump. So the man, he spent more time doing that than actually addressing the issues in his community. So it's quite unfortunate that, that these people are left with this kind of a sheriff and this kind of a man. But, there's so much more I could say about Sheriff David Clarke, and there's so much deeper I can go to show you who this man truly is, the self-hating African-American man that he truly is. But I think that a 30-minute synopsis of, who he is should be enough. It should be enough of a window to give you an idea of why he should never be allowed back into office in Wisconsin ever again. Wisconsin doesn't need someone like this. They don't need someone to divide the people and to tear the people apart like Trump has done. It's evident. The evidence is on the ground and in the people. You can either be a leader that brings people together, that comes up with solutions to very complex problems, or you can be a talking head that is a follower. You are a faux leader, okay? He's just a follower, a faux leader, and instead of coming up with ideas to mend the community, you just instead spew out talking points as a faux leader to further divide people. And that's what Sheriff Clarke is. He's a man with no solutions. He has no solutions. He has no answers that will benefit the community. He is only a man of action, and that action is not the action of his own. That's the action of the people that are above him that want him to act in this way. Okay? It has become who he is as a self-hating African American, but this is what he's been groomed to be since he's been 21 years old. So there's a running joke about cops that join the force fresh out of high school and stuff like that. Is these are the guys that got teased and picked on, and then they get amazing power, and then they treat everyone like crap. Well, what is this man's story? Exactly that. Teased, picked on, called every racial slur in the book, demonized, made to feel less than, made to not be proud of being an African American. Okay? So when an African American like him gets a little bit of success, what they do is they separate from the rest of African Americans. They say, you never supported me or liked me because I acted too white. And these white people over here, they don't treat me bad anymore because now I'm doing good. And I can't put myself side by side with people who would make me look bad. I'd rather be one of them. That's the psychology of it. Now, it's quite funny to say that, and he's taking a picture with Bill Cosby, but that's the psychology of it. As an African American man, we know these type of dudes. We know who you are. We know which ones you are. We know when you really hate yourself. You really hate your race. We know. We can feel it. We can see it. We know that others have put you in a place of power and kept you there because you're a black face that they'll vote for, but you're not a black face that's a friendly face. You're a snake. So when you're dealing with somebody like David Clarke, you're dealing with a snake. This is somebody that they want there to keep the population tame. So pass this out, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. Let people know what's going on out here. Let's not be fooled by people who are given quote-unquote authority. All right? These people are nothing more than people with a little metal badge on their. These are not people granted authority by God. Okay, let's keep that real. He's just another man. And soon, you guys need to go ahead and get him out there in 2018. Get him out of there. He does not need to be there any longer. Get him out of there. He's begging to be let go of. He's begging for you to elect someone else. Okay? Don't reelect this man. Doesn't deserve it, nor has he done anything to warrant a reelection from the people that he's supposed to represent. So he's a nutbag. He's going off the deep end, the cuckoo end, and he's become a little too passionate against the same people that he's supposed to represent. And he's supposed to represent it's easy to see that he's playing sides. Okay? So get this guy out of here. You don't need him any longer. First place, he was pop governor there in that area. And it worked for quite some time. You know, you've had over a decade now of authoritarian control from this particular sheriff. So it's coming that you guys get your liberation from this kind of mess, okay? And crime can still be taken care of within, Wisconsin, specifically Milwaukee. But crime can still be taken care of effectively, efficiently, with somebody who actually honors the position and who understands cohesiveness, understands bringing the community together with resources that would prevent a high recidivism rate, and also with still protecting the most vulnerable areas of the community that need to be from people who would rather victimize through violent actions or through drug distribution. So you can still have that option. It's not, if you get rid of David Clarke, that's off the table. No, that option is still very much there, but you need to do it in a man who carries dignity, pride, and respect for his post and position for all people that he's supposed to represent. And David A. Clarke Jr. clearly is not the man for that job. Again, guys, make sure you get this information out there. And as always, stay alert, stay alive.